What's up, guys? Welcome back to a brand new video and happy 20th anniversary to Star Wars Episode 3 Revenge of the Sith. So this will be my 20th anniversary special of Star Wars Revenge of the Sith Episode 3. So as always, let's get into it. So I don't have much merch for Episode 3, but I do have some stuff to show you guys. First, starting off with my prequel trilogy set. Somewhere I got this probably around 2016, maybe 17, somewhere around there, maybe 18. So I really do wish that they would have done trilogy box set similar to the 2004 original trilogy set. So here's Episode 3, and to be honest, I've never really been a big fan of these slim DVD cases. I don't know why, I just never really been a big fan of these. But I did like the cover they used for this, so this is pretty cool. And the other one, the other original trilogy, said that they put out at the same time they did this, has Vader and Luke. So this is pretty cool. One of my favorite shots from any Star Wars film. And I did go see Episode 3 in theaters for the re-release. I saw it with the family and a friend of mine who really likes Star Wars, and it was actually my dad's first time seeing Episode 3 because he never seen it. He saw the original trilogy but never saw any of the prequels. But he enjoyed the film. He thought it was pretty cool. I was able to manage to get the Darth Vader popcorn bucket. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to get the cup, which I think was like $10. So if I do find it, hopefully I find it around a decent price. So I know when they put stuff like that on the internet, they always jack up the price. But here's the popcorn bucket, and the bottom has a logo for Episode 3. It has a button right here to turn on, and it makes the breathing sounds. So that is pretty cool. And you open this up top, and this is where you can put the popcorn. But I'm gonna probably get a new DVD shelf so I can start putting my Star Wars stuff there along with this. So I'm really starting to get into Star Wars right now and start watching the shows, stuff like that, just to learn more about it. And here we have the film program. It's got like probably about 60 pages, so I'm going to go through all of them real quick. So there's a film program right here. Like I said, this is pretty cool. You have Vader on the front and the silver logo. This is really cool. It would be cool if it was gold too, because I know that the prequel trilogy always had the gold logo instead of the silver, but still pretty cool though. What the back looks like. Open it up, it's cool. So let's get into all this. This is pretty cool. I remember I first saw these pages. I was just amazed on this. This is probably one of my favorite film programs in my collection. And if you're a Star Wars fan, then I highly recommend getting something like this, because this is just a great way of seeing concept art and a bunch of cool shots. You know, Episode 3 Revenge of the Sith is probably one of my favorite films, and actually growing up, I wasn't a Star Wars fan growing up. I actually got into Star Wars pretty late, like 2016, so I wish I would have got into it the year before, so I could have saw Force Awakens in theaters. I know my dad saw Force Awakens in theaters. Fortunately, I didn't. Next year, I got into Star Wars. I was like, man, I wish I would have seen it, because everyone knows that The Force Awakens Episode 7 is the best film out of the sequel trilogy. So I know that trilogy is very divisive on fans. Without a doubt, Episode 7 is the best out of that. But we all know what's the best film out of the prequel trilogy is this one, Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith. And in my opinion, this is probably arguably one of the best lightsaber fights, if not the best. In my opinion, it's the best lightsaber fight. The whole Star Wars trilogy. That's just my opinion, though. But it's weird how we went from that fast movement choreography from the prequel trilogy to the sequel trilogy. It's really weird. This is pretty cool. It has all the different characters here, so this is really cool. So if you want to pause that, see all the characters, you're more than welcome to. This is just pretty cool. Of course, on page before we have the main characters. Now, I remember my dad's reaction when Obi-Wan was fighting General Grievous. His reaction was pretty priceless, and that was pretty cool. So I could tell he enjoyed it. This is pretty cool. You have all the vehicles and ships. So seeing stuff like this is really cool, especially if you're a Star Wars fan. But Episode 3 is one of my favorite films of all time now. But this is pretty cool. So right here it says, father and son, they followed the Force but met different fates. So that's pretty cool. But me being a Star Wars fan, now I really have appreciation for this franchise, and it's ironic how everyone knows the original trilogy is the best. On top of it, the prequel trilogy, I really liked Anakin's story arc. Obviously, Episode 1 is nothing to write home about. That one's okay, but the trilogy really got better each film. You get to Episode 2, it gets better. See the love story between Anakin and Padme develop in that film. And you see it develop a little more in Episode 3. And of course, you see Anakin turn into Vader. He goes to the dark side. But Anakin's story arc in general, in my opinion, is one of the best story arcs to be put on film. And I'm so glad that George Lucas decided to do this prequel trilogy, because it was really worth it. I mean, Episode 1 was okay. Episode 2 was better. Saw Yoda fight in that one. That was pretty cool. And the fight between all the clones. And then we finally get to Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith, which in my opinion is one of the best conclusions to a trilogy. But George Lucas, he really pulled out all the stops on this one. And the fights were good, and in my opinion, there was no dead air in this film at all. It was just constant action from the very beginning. Local ads and stuff like that. Yeah, I'll skip the page. Yeah, this is pretty cool. Got a bunch of merchandise and stuff. There we go. There's the main merchandise page right here. A lot of cool stuff in here. I remember seeing those figures when I was a kid. It was way before I was into Star Wars. So, cool Vader. I think this is a statue there. Yeah. Some books right there. And I think Hayden Christensen, he'll actually be here. My town, he'll be here next month at a con. So hopefully I can attend the con. Hopefully I can meet him. That would be pretty cool. So I'm glad he decided to return to the Star Wars franchise, because I really think he did a great job with the Anakin character. So, but I love Star Wars Revenge of the Sith Episode 3. I think it's one of the greatest films of all time. One of the best conclusions to a trilogy. And a big example on how film and a trilogy can get better. So I know that's not always the case, but anyway, so that's all for this video, guys. Thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure to leave a like, comment, subscribe, and see you guys in the next video. Later, guys.